Welcome to Beyond Overeating by Wholesome Lifestyle Project, the Overeating podcast, where I'll be showing up weekly to share with you what I've learned during my binge eating recovery, helpful tools such as yoga, mindfulness, and energy medicine. My name is Stel, and my purpose is to inform and educate so that you can fast track your recovery in healing your relationship with food and finally trust yourself around the peanut butter jar. Join me as I share top tips, my struggles and triumphs to help inspire or just entertain. Remember, there's nothing wrong with you if you can't stop overeating. That's why I'm here to guide you along the way. Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Overeating podcast by Wholesome Lifestyle Project. My name is Stel Coombe-Heath, binge and emotional eating recovery specialist. I am on a mission to help women globally release the obsession with food and also just let go of the guilt and shame they have around their bodies. And I have a vision where women are no longer ashamed of their bodies, and we just start living in a space of true authenticity through our lives instead of completely obsessing over food, what our bodies look like, and so forth. So welcome if this is your first time here at the Beyond Overeating podcast. I am hoping to get to know you a little bit better. If you ever have any questions, you can go to www.wholesomelifestyleproject.com and you will see a little chat button on there. Send me a message. If you have any questions about the podcast or if a new podcast episode that you would like to hear, send me a message there. I'd love to hear from you. Today, I really wanted to just share a story about my history with dieting and also just my relationship with the term healthy eating. And I think for many of us, we actually feel like we have been drilled into thinking that healthy eating is being on a diet, right? That's how we've been drilled. From Monday, I'm eating healthy, going on this diet, I'm going on this cleanse, I'm going on X, Y, and Z, and everything's going to be amazing. I'm just going to be so healthy, so clean, so whole, whatever the actual term is of your diet. You know, I understand how that is, but maybe for you, you are at a point where you no longer want to go on a diet and you know that it doesn't work for you and you are just sick and tired of setting yourself up for failure because you know deep down that somewhere along the line, going on this diet is going to make you feel deprived and you are going to end up binge eating eventually. So dieting is one of the number one reasons we have disordered eating and eating disorders. And I just think it's time that we actually start pursuing health and seeing health without the restriction, without the needing to be so controlling with food. And, I've tried over 25 diets since the age of 15. And some of those diets are repeated many, many times, thinking that they would be successful this time around, and they still failed me all the time. And it took me that long to realize that dieting and the actual restrictive nature, the controlling nature, the shameful nature of dieting actually results in other negative food behaviors, such as binge eating, such as hiding food wrappers, such as eating too fast, such as feeling shame for your body. And, through my journey of healing from two eating disorders, binge eating disorder and orthorexia, I understand now that dieting is not the answer. And I know that maybe you want to be on a healthy you want to be healthy, but you don't necessarily want to be on a diet anymore. So I'm going to just help you with a few tips to get through that process. I'd love for you to also keep an eye out. Within the next 2-3 weeks, we will be releasing my mindful eating program, where you can actually learn how to ditch the diet and eat mindfully. So keep your eyes on the ground or ears on the ground for when I announce that course coming out. I also have something super, super amazing that I will be letting you know about next week. That's also just going to help you start with a mindfulness-based process or practice when it comes to food and your relationship with food. But in the meantime, I really hated going on an eating plan. Yes, there was some parts of me that would be excited because I'd be like, oh yes, this is the one, this is the solution. I am going to get it right this time. And that's how I would start off. Let me know if this is like, if you can relate. You can comment in the show notes below if you can relate to this. But deep down, I actually hated this because I knew somewhere along the line, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm sorry for my language, but that's how I would feel. And it would just be a matter of days or maybe a few months on this plan. And I knew somewhere along the line that I'm going to mess it up. So for me, going on a diet and a healthy eating plan just didn't work anymore. And it never actually worked, to be honest, because if it did work, I wouldn't have had any eating issues. I wouldn't have had binge eating. I wouldn't have had the low self-esteem with my body, right? But I didn't realize that through my journey of 25 diets, just doing the same thing over and over again, just manipulating macros in a different way or cutting out certain food groups. Which wasn't helpful in the least, because those are the things that I would end up binge eating on when I got back or, got off my diet or on my cheat days or whatever the case was. So what I've learned through my recovery, and this took a while for my brain to rewire around this, because I actually really, really believed that the only way to be healthy was to be on a strict eating plan, to be restrictive, to cut out certain foods. But what I realized through my recovery is that it is possible to stop dieting while still taking care of your health and feeling good. And there doesn't have to be this regimental thing, whether you're on something or you're off something, whether it's an eating plan or an exercise plan or a health plan. It's not about that. And what I wanted to share with you today is just a few little tips for you to actually still be healthy without being on a diet. So if you really to start ditching the diets, I can't wait for you to get onto my program. But in the meantime, here's a few little tips that you can just take with you and implement within the next couple of days. So the first one is gentle nutrition. And this is where we aim for a wide variety of foods, eating the rainbow, showing up for your body in a massive amount and array of food groups. And what this will do for you is you will receive nutrients in many shapes and different forms, but also you taking away that real restrictive thinking about where, like what foods to cut out, what to obsess about, what not to obsess about. And nutritionally, what this does is it gives you a real balance in your body, but it also provides that emotional and mental peace of mind that you are giving yourself a variety of foods. This is really going to just help with your cravings. It's going to help with getting your body into a beautiful space of just being nutritionally balanced as well. And gentle nutrition means that you can actually have vegetables, but you can also have a chocolate. It doesn't have to be that one or the other. It's really about starting to strike a balance. And so that's one thing that for me was really hard to wrap my head around, was how do I get healthy without, with just adding all these different food groups in, because I've built up all these beliefs about sugar, and I've built up these beliefs about potatoes and, nightshades. So it was quite hard for me to wrap my head around, and I think for you the same. So in my mindful eating course, I actually show you how to do that step by step. But in the meantime, just start getting yourself a little bit okay with the fact that you are allowed to eat a variety of foods. You are allowed to have certain other foods in your diet, which is not deemed whole foods and so forth. And notice what that does for you. You know, one of my clients said to me the other day, I can't believe how quickly you were able to release the food obsession with me. And I said to her, it wasn't because, first of all, I didn't do the work. She did the work. I just guided her. But second of all, the food obsession left because we allowed food back in. We allowed her favorite foods in. And because of that, she really stopped thinking about food. She's actually at points where she's like, oh, like sometimes I actually forget. Or, you know, it's really not such a big thing in her life anymore. And it's all just because of this principle, gentle nutrition. The next one I'd like for you to think about is to start challenge and change your negative thoughts. Because 95% of our thoughts is the same thoughts we thought yesterday. And 80% of our thoughts from yesterday was negative. And we keep running these thoughts in our head day in and day out. And this is what actually starts creating our reality. So what you think creates an emotional reaction in your body, which actually creates a physical response and action. So that's actually what forms your personality. How you think creates what you feel, and how you feel is how you act. So our personality is based off 95% of what we thought of yesterday and 80% negative thoughts. So when you start actually hearing and thinking these thoughts, it's time to start challenging them. And, you know, working with my clients, the first exercise I give them is an exercise to start actually watching your thoughts and being present with what you have and what are you allowing to run in the back of your mind. So most of your thoughts are negative, and they are telling you that you are not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not skinny enough, you might as well stop trying because you're not worth it. All these things, and these are not things that I am taking and saying you are. These are the things that were running in my mind. And when I started paying attention to these, I'm like, holy crap, I don't want to be thinking this. I don't say this to my best friend. I don't say this out loud, but for some reason I'm thinking this deep down in my unconscious, and that needs to stop. So these thoughts are what play on repeat every single day. And it's bringing awareness to that. And then once you're aware of what you're thinking, that's when you can start shifting those thoughts and go, well, now I have a choice. I'm aware of what I'm thinking. Am I going to allow this, or am I ready to actually let this go and challenge my thoughts into a different pattern? Next is actually starting to honor your hunger. And I've talked about this a lot. Like if you hear most of my podcasts, I talk about making sure that you are nutritionally fed. And you know, if you go back to episode 3, I talk about the reasons why you binge. And the reasons why we binge is because of an urge. An urge is there because either out of hunger, emotions, or habits. And 80% of my clients, when we start getting their hunger sorted, they stop binge eating. That's how powerful this one is. And most people think, oh, I'm not hungry. They can't feel their hunger. They actually have been taught to ignore hunger, appetite suppressants, you know, drink water when you feel hungry, you know, all these kind of things to try and trick your stomach not to feel hunger. So before my health journey even started, I would live off cigarettes and coffee during the day. And in the evenings, I'd get home and I would binge on like, you know, like literally a cottage pie made for like 3 or 4 people all by myself, or a full chicken and potato and a bottle of wine, all just to me, you know. And that is a recipe for disaster, because that is a severe sign of hunger just playing out. And that's not because you don't have self-control issues or willpower issues. That's because your body is just so bloody hungry that by the time you do actually get some food, it's not going to stop eating because it's worried that you are not going to survive. Our bodies are built to survive. They're very clever. So most binge eating is because your body is trying to survive. So make sure that you have regular meals and snacks. Make sure that you are following principle 1 that I talked about, gentle nutrition, a large variety of foods, which means that you get a large variety of nutrients, which allows your body to function optimally. Now, once you start listening to your hunger, this is only and only then will you actually start feeling full. And also, most of my clients are actually like blown away when they get to me within 3 weeks of working with me, and they're like, oh my gosh, I actually felt fullness. I actually felt it. I actually was able to actually notice when I needed to stop eating. Like, can you imagine this happening? So this all just starts with that awareness of eating, but also making sure that you do actually eat. So really, really important, making sure that you are honoring your hunger, and also making sure that you honor your fullness. When you are full, gently just allow yourself to be okay with stop eating. You know, enough of this empty plate BS that most of us grew up with, right? I know this is not just me, but everyone basically got told the story about starving children in Africa, you know, being guilted into finishing what's left on your plate. And, you know, the more you actually okay with leaving food when you are full, that is the caveat. You have to be full, not I'm leaving food on my plate because I'm wanting to lose weight, or I'm wanting to control my eating behaviors. No, when you actually feel fullness, then it is okay to stop eating. Once you start recognizing that you're comfortably full, make sure that you honor that part. Next is moving in a way that feels good. And what I mean by this is, usually when we go on an eating plan, it's coupled with quite a strict exercise plan. You know, go and kill yourself, run as many miles as you want, you know, exercise yourself to death. I'm being very extreme here, I do apologize. But, you know, most of these exercises can actually add to your stress levels. And because of that, you are going to have more cravings for high energy foods, right? Because your body is all of a sudden adjusting to more energy expansion, which means that you are needing more energy, which means more cravings, right? And most of the time you exercise because you don't like the exercise, but you're just trying to burn calories or just get your steps in, or whatever the case is, to the point where you actually resent it and you don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to do these things. And exercise is so good for our bodies. Like, our bodies need to move all the time. Our bodies are not stagnant. We need to get the blood flowing. But start looking at exercise in a different way. Start exercising in ways that make you feel good. If you love running, go running. If you love yoga, do yoga. If you like, you know, swimming, do swimming. Don't listen to all those gurus out there about how they're doing things. Stay in your own lane. Listen to what your body needs. And another caveat here is that changes daily. It doesn't mean that on Mondays now for the rest of your life, you go to yoga or you do your running, because your body might feel differently on a Monday than it did last Monday. So start to tune in and honor your body as to where it's at. So just a little example here. Funny enough, usually Mondays are my running days. However, this Monday I woke up with a massive blinding headache, and it would have been really, really damaging for me to go running. So instead, I did something nourishing like a restorative yoga practice, because I knew that's what my body needed instead. And my body thanked me for that. So doing militant exercise is also unhealthy, because you're wearing out your body. First of all, you raising your cortisol levels, you're gonna start triggering cravings. So make sure that your exercise is stuff that you enjoy, and it's also find a balance in your exercise. You can't just be doing cardio. You can't just be lifting weights. You can't just be, doing one type of thing. Mix it up. Like our bodies are so amazing. They're built to move in so many amazing different ways and angles. Go and explore that. Have fun with it, and if you can get an outdoor activity that's going to support movement, then go for it. And the last principle here is stop dieting. I know this podcast is about you wanting to stop dieting, but like I cannot stress this enough. There's a lot of healthy eating plans out there that if you look at them, they are very much just a diet. And dieting, as you might have known now, and as you listen to more of my podcast, you'll realize that dieting is one of the biggest reasons why you binge eat. And it's one of the most important principles if you are trying to stop binge eating, if you are trying to just have a better relationship with food, stop the food obsession, stop thinking about food all the time, stop nighttime binge eating, stop stress eating, stop emotional eating, then you need to stop dieting. Dieting doesn't work. 95% of dieters fail because dieting is not sustainable. And I reckon if you take 95% of the dieting population, the only people who actually were successful on these diets are probably the people who wrote the diet books and who's selling you their magic diet pills. So what happens when we go on a diet is we actually slow down the metabolism. Yes, I know you've heard all these things that fasting increases the metabolism and all that stuff. No. If your body is getting less food and there's restriction, your mind is going to slow down your burning of the foods that you've got in your system. You're going to store more in your fat reserves because your body is preparing for famine. So let go of dieting. It's just messing up your metabolism. It's making things worse. And that's why most people, the longer they are on diets, the harder it is for them to just maintain their shape, their bodies, or whatever the case is, because it is damaging your metabolism. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful for you. I'd love to know if you have any questions. As I said, go to www.wholesomelifestyleproject.com. There's a little chat function now on my website. Go and click that and ask your questions. Maybe I'll make a podcast episode out of it. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Up until then, look out for any announcements with regards to my new programs coming out, and I will see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and don't forget to share this with all your friends. You can do this by adding this to your Instagram story and tagging me at Wholesome Lifestyle Project, or by simply telling them about it. If you could rate and review on whatever platform you are listening, this will go a long way in helping me get this podcast out there so that I can share my message and help as many women out there struggling with food issues as I can. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram on Wholesome Lifestyle Project, or connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Stel Coombe-Heath, and that's where you'll find me on LinkedIn. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.